Even the snow cannot stop your Detroit Tigers at the moment. That is 4 straight victories. We'll talk about the most recent one all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Tuesday, April 8th, 2025. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen. Every single day, we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Welcome in, welcome all. We have a really fun victory to talk about. You know, I was thinking after this game, we're always good for like one snow game a year. There's always one. And like, you know, some years you I guess have a couple, but it feels like there's always at minimum at least one game where it is literally snowing at Comerica Park. And I want to know the Tigers' record in snow games, okay? Because we have so many analytics at our fingertips right now, and I'm greedy and I want more. And that is something I'm so curious about because they have like weather condition stats now. There's what happens when it's like warm, what happens when it's cold, what happens when it's a day game, night game, sunny, cloudy. Like we have all this stuff, but no one accounts for the snow, okay? Because they just assume it's a summer sport. You're not going to have too much. Like, who cares? I care. All right, I want Tigers record in the last 10 years in snow games. This was a fantastic ball game. 6-2 victory over the New York Yankees. And it was obviously at home. That is 4 straight victories for your Detroit Tigers. And they are 5-1 since being swept in LA. Makes them 6-4 on the season. So my first thought, besides that little rant I just went on about how much I love the fact that, you know, it's a summer sport. I don't want the whole season to look like that. Okay, I want, you know, the park to get packed and it to be warm, beautiful. Summer is baseball, right? Baseball is summer, etc. But I do like, you know, give me one. Give me a snow game. My other first thought after a random ADHD tangent about weather is win the series. You now have them by the throats. Win the series, dude. Win it. Okay, we'll preview game 2 at the end and obviously talk a little bit about game 3 as well. The pitching matchups line up so beautifully. There is no excuse for the Tigers to not walk out of this series with a series victory over the New York Yankees, which always feels good. Like I said, 6-2 win. They kind of had the upper hand for really the entire game. Casey Mize looked great. We can start with that. 4 minutes in, start, not really the same thing. You know, I need to stop saying start with that because, like, we have first thought now. A whole new segment, a whole new angle here on the show. And it's not first was the first thing I said. The first thing under the category of what went right, we will start in that case there with Casey Mize. 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts. You know, I appreciate this performance so much, more than you will ever know, because I am so used to having it be super cold and super gross outside and having some pitcher get rocked and hit around the yard and having to come on here and be like, well, I can't get too mad because it snowed, okay? And like how hard it must be to grip a baseball. I mean, I know how hard it is to grip a baseball in the cold. I did it for a while, but like I certainly was not putting major league spin on it from the crouch behind home plate. Okay. Like certainly not. At any point in my life did I have that ability. So I'd imagine it's very, very, very difficult. And for Mize to go out there and put up a 1-run in 6-inning performance, still had the strikeouts, still had the swing and miss stuff. AJ even said after the game, he asked Chris Fetter, is he even going to be able to throw the splitter today because it's so cold outside? That was legitimately a question. Or is he going to be able to throw his best pitch? The answer was a resounding yes. It was, shockingly, his best pitch. He got a handful of swing and miss on it. I think 5 of the 10 swing and misses he had on the game were via the splitter. Fantastic, man. He had one at bat. I think it was Vaughn Grisham, who is off to a tremendous start this year, by the way, for what it's worth. But it might, whatever. Either way, he had one at bat where he was ahead 0-1 and then just went splitter, both in the strike zone, and it didn't even matter. Fantastic. Swing and miss. It is so nice to see this corner that he has turned. He looks fantastic. And the fact that he is, he's like, technically he is the number 5. And like, I know in the eyes of the fan base, he's probably more like the number 4 starting pitcher in the rotation, obviously, like Joe being a rookie and whatnot, but like in order of the rotation, he's technically the 5. And that is just a testament to how great this rotation is going to be this year. Has already been pretty solid. Obviously, Skubal could be better. Job could be better. But we are truly seeing like a coming out party for Casey Mize. He is really showcasing his ability and proving that he I don't even care about like the 1-1 thing. Like some people are still hung up and they're like, oh, he's been better, but like he's not gonna like win a Cy Young, so he still wasn't worth the 1-1. He is a very productive major league pitcher right now, and I'm gonna gladly take that and run. And I am excited to see what heights he can reach with now this level of stuff. The walks, see, this is perfect because he was good even when it was cold, and I can just blame the walks on the cold. Who cares? I don't even care. I'm going to throw him out the window, ignore him. If it becomes a reoccurring thing where he's walking 3 or 4 batters a game, then certainly we'll point that out. But for a game where it literally snowed and he still had 6 strikeouts and only gave up 1 run, I don't really care. Bullpen was also fantastic in this outing. Tyler Holton, Bo Brisky, and Tommy Kahnle. It's just so nice to have a good bullpen. Why couldn't we have had this bullpen / manager both in the early 2010s? You're like, how cool would it have been to have a whatever? Don't need to rehash that trauma, but fantastic. Now, obviously, again, like the ball is not traveling very far unless you're Andy Ibanez, so I guess that's not true, but you know what I mean? Like offense is always going to be deadened a little bit with those type of conditions, but they were really solid yet again. Tommy Kahnle is a dog, man. He was literally like toying with hitters. He just throws 80 million changeups in a row, and then when he gets to 2 strikes, sometimes maybe he will throw a fastball literally right down the middle, and guys don't even swing at it. And if they do, it's fouled off because they're sitting changeup. It's kind of funny almost, but it's so impressive. So credit to him. Brisky's outing it was already solid. He looked fine, but should have even been way better. But some poor defense we'll talk about a little bit later. And then Tyler Holton, absolute dog. Let's talk about some offense, okay? I just mentioned Andy Ibanez. He had a great day. We're going to talk about some defense, too. There was some good defense, some bad defense. We'll talk about all that and more right after this. All right, everybody. First off, got to tell y'all about our friends over at FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on all of the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if that bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team, who is in the playoffs, by the way, your postseason Detroit Pistons, or whether I'm diving into player props, Cade with a 30 burger on Monday night. Okay. From 3-pointers to steals, FanDuel has so many ways. 3-pointers, Beasley, one of the highest 3-point totals in the history of the NBA in a single season. There's so many ways to bet on all of your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into same game parlays for a chance to win big. So don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2, Locked On Tigers. Appreciate you all for tuning in, as always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We, of course, will be back tomorrow recapping Game 2 of this series against the New York Yankees. Talking about this 6-2 victory today, though. 4 straight wins for your Detroit Tigers. Offensively, we talked about the pitching before the break. Offensively, Andy Ibanez with a big 3-run homer outscores the New York Yankees by himself in this ball game. That is what he does, and it's so nice. It's so nice. His bat hasn't been as stellar so far this season. I think that's safe to say. And I haven't really talked about it. I got some comments that are like, why are you bashing other players for their slow starts offensively, but not Andy Ibanez? Andy Ibanez is what he is, man. Like this guy is going to put the bat on the ball and he's going to hit lefties. And it's going to happen eventually. Is he going to have batted ball luck at times? Yes, because he doesn't hit the ball super hard consistently, but he is going to constantly put the ball in play against left-handed pitching. And the results are going to show up at some point, right? And it's so nice to see him go yard in this one against a lefty and just kind of remind everybody, this dude is still the left-handed, he is, well, I tweet out the picture of Barry Bonds every time he gets a hit off of a lefty, but like that's how I feel, man. Like he is a guy that I want. Now, we can argue all day about whether, the lineup is good enough to where he should be like your 2-hitter, right? But I want him in the lineup every single time a left-handed pitcher is on the mound. And honestly, I want him in a prominent part of the lineup every time a left-handed pitcher is on the mound for the opposing team. Also, credit to him, man. Jake Rogers said after the game that he gave the signal to Rogers for the back pick over at third base. Fantastic play all around. I'm going to talk about that and drool over that a little bit more when we talk about Rogers. But great play by Ibanez, and he's just such a dog, man. I love Andy Ibanez. I love him. Like that is a guy that management clearly loves, coaching clearly loves, the players clearly love, and just, I know it's like super cliche, but he's the guy that your little league coach growing up is like, I want all of my players to play like him. He's pointing at Andy Ibanez. That he is prepared. He is locked into every pitch. He cares immensely. He is the best. I cannot sing the praises of Andy Ibanez enough, and I hope that he continues to perform and produce well enough to make it through another season here in Detroit, because he has become such a valuable utility asset for this organization. Speaking of good offense and defense, Javi Baez with not a bad day at the office. Goes 1 for 4 with 1 strikeout. Did have a hard hit ball to right field as well that I think is probably off the wall or even a home run if it's June. But it snowed, so it was a routine fly out to right field. Had an absolutely El Mago moment in this ball game that I'm sure you all have seen it by this point, but ball comebacker to Tyler Holton, bounces off Holton's glove, redirects, Javi gets straight to it, makes it look really easy, catches it in his glove, flips it to Colt Keith, doesn't even take the ball out of his glove with his hand, doesn't even use his hand, just flips it with the glove. Something that Jeremy Frank posted. Jeremy Frank, a great follow on social media. Actually used to write for the website that he created a few years ago, and posted like, I would be shocked if anybody could find a play where the ball hit 3 different gloves and only one hand and an out was recorded. And in this case, even 2 outs. It was a beautiful double play to end the inning and avoid having Aaron Judge up again. Like, that was actually a huge moment aside from just jaw-dropping athleticism. And like, these are the games where you almost get frustrated because Javi has a good game. And it's like, dude, if he can just be a 650 OPS hitter, that's like well below league average. Like, I'm not asking for like MVP Javi again. If he can be legitimately a 650 OPS hitter over the course of a season and hit lefties decently well and look like he did defensively and bring the value that we know he still can defensively at shortstop, you're talking about a guy that can be still valuable to this team and not just have this be like one of the 2 worst contracts in baseball. Shout out Anthony Rendon. It's just, it was good. We're positive vibes. It was really nice to see him have a solid day. Okay. Jake Rogers, great day at the office as well. 3 walks at the plate and the back pick. We'll talk about the umpiring later, but it's not every day you see a back pick at third base. All right. That is a rarity. That gets my catcher senses tingling. Okay. I feel like it's a love at first sight thing. It's like when you look into the eyes of the person that you love and you have like butterflies. That's what I feel like when Jake Rogers backpicks somebody, really, period, but especially at third base. The mustache, he's just got everything. And it's heads up play. We already gave credit to Andy Ibanez, but for as frustrating as Rogers, not in this game, but as some people are with Jake Rogers' offense at times, I cannot stress his value outside of the batter's box enough. He is so good behind the dish, man. And I'm not just talking about these plays or when he throws a runner out stealing or when he gets in front of a ball and blocks a pitch in the dirt. I'm talking about his handling of the pitching staff. He is one of the leaders of this team, and he is a guy that truly has a say in everything that happens on pitcher's mound, and is a guy that top to bottom is somebody that every pitcher in that room looks to for pitching, I don't know, advice, analysis, leadership, whatever you want to say. He is so valuable, okay? And if he's another one that if he can just be an average bat, you're talking about a guy that's value is really going to jump off the page at you. Shout out Ryan Kreidler. Was solid defensively, okay, in this game. Didn't completely collapse on defense. But on top of that, had a bunt that was effective and successful, and then drew a walk later in the game. This is all we're asking for. Like, he is not going to be on this roster the second that they have a healthier option in center field. Whether that's Perez, Fearling, Meadows, even Akil Baddoo is getting reps in center field right now. They have but he's on a rehab assignment, started off the season hurt as well. Like, they just literally are on their 5th string starting center fielder. Okay. So like he is not longed for this roster. He is not going to make it probably for another few weeks, nonetheless, months or by the end of the season. That being said, this is all that we're asking for in the meantime. Play solid defense and have productive, effective at-bats sometimes. And I think it's a testament to what the organization feels about him offensively that AJ Hinch, one of the managers that bunts the least in all of baseball every year, had Kreidler not only bunt once, but try to then bunt a second time. Okay. So that is, again, the confidence level that they have in his offense, but he got it down and he did his job. And tip of the cap, this was a solid, fine, and effective Ryan Kreidler game. And I hope that we can just have games similar to this from now until a different center fielder in the organization is healthy enough to take his spot on the roster. Also want to give credit to Justyn-Henry Malloy, who led off in this ball game. I think we are at a very interesting point with roster construction. Okay, we're at a very interesting fork in the road, if you will. Okay, shout out to the Muppet movie. You know, when there's the fork in the road, and there's literally a fork in the road. Used to love watching that growing up. Okay, where Malloy is. And I've been saying this on the show for 4 years now. An organization will tell you how they feel about a player if you just listen. Some of you are annoyed when I say it because I say it so often. Malloy has been the leadoff hitter in nearly every single game since he got called up. The leadoff hitter. The leadoff hitter, for those who are unaware and maybe, math hard, no, it's hard for me, gets the most plate appearances out of anybody in the lineup over the course of 162. That's just math, right? He is not going to put someone in the leadoff spot that he does not trust. And the fact that he has been the leadoff hitter and DH for righties and lefties on the mound is telling. Okay. Now, he still got pinch hit for, and Carpenter, still went out there and replaced him later in the ball game in a big moment. But that's just AJ's going to pinch hit everybody pretty much at some point. So I think we are seeing the organization tell us how they feel and how AJ specifically feels about Justyn-Henry Malloy. And this fork in the road that I mentioned, because Malloy, not only had just a great day where he was working counts and whatnot, but also had a 2 RBI single in a huge moment in this ball game to make this to kind of put the lead out of reach. What do you do when players start getting healthy again? What do you do when Gleyber Torres comes back from the injured list? You can send down Kreidler, but then you don't really have anyone to play center field unless you're comfortable just putting Riley in center field for 9 innings every day, which the organization has proven, again, just listen, time and time again, that they're not going to do that. So let's talk about what went wrong, and that'll kind of perfectly transition us into this big picture conversation that I'm sure we will have as the week goes along as well. We'll do all of that and more right after this. Got to talk to you today about our friends over at Just Ingredients. When it comes to fueling your body, quality matters. And that's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-quality products designed to support their better health and peak performance of the users. Just Ingredients offers an NSF-certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, and pre-workout, along with creatine, that is all rigorously tested to ensure they're free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. Just Ingredients has also partnered with 2-time MVP Bryce Harper, who trusts their NSF certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. It's honestly delicious. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. They sent all the hosts, a box to kind of try out, so we knew what we were talking about. And my roommate and I have been flabbergasted by how good it is. And he, studying a lot of the stuff on the label when he was in school, that was, his forte, whatever. But, going over a lot of the stuff that is in this and talking about how great it is for you as well. It is truly remarkable. I'm floored genuinely by how good it tastes. So just visit justingredients.us and use code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off. And for more wellness tips, follow just.ingredients on Instagram. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate you all for tuning in. As always, talking about what went wrong in this game. Not a whole lot. This was a very, very solid victory for the Tigers start to finish. Colt Keith had a rough play in this game. Did have a hit, which I do want to point out. It wasn't all terrible. He did have a hit, breaking ball outside of the strike zone. He took the opposite way. That's good. But he had a play defensively in this game where he bobbled the ball and then just completely airmailed it. Like, that'll be on blooper reels for sure. And thankfully, it didn't really cost the Tigers anything. Bo Brisky was able to calm down, retire the next batter up, and no one's the wiser. But it was a rough play, and he's not hitting very well. He is walking a ton, which is great, but he's not hitting very well. And he's also not seeing balls in the strike zone. They talked about it on the broadcast the other day. He has seen like some of the most balls outside of the strike zone in literally all of baseball. That will change eventually. So the question that I posed before the break and that I'll bring up again is like, what do you do when Gleyber is back? Because Torkelson is certainly not going anywhere. Okay, that ship has long sailed. He is going nowhere. And I think there's even an argument for him being the first baseman going forward and not just, he's going to be here in DH. Even if you wanted like defensively, like, we want Colt Keith to stay at first base no matter what. Okay, well, then you're going to have to send back down Malloy, who has been fantastic for you and is putting together stellar at-bats every time. Again, he is leading off almost every game. That's not an accident. That's not like, we're just here to try it. You don't try someone out as a leadoff hitter. Okay, you're confident in that person to accomplish what the team wants out of the leadoff spot, which is to get on base. And that's what Malloy does exceptionally well. Keith has been good at that this year, but he hasn't hit well enough to justify it. So I think the conversation is starting where you have to seriously consider whether Colt Keith, and this is crazy that I'm saying this early into the year, is maybe the odd man out when Gleyber is back. Now, again, there's other things they can do. There's like Kreidler is certainly a guy that when people start getting healthy again, but if they don't trust anyone else to play center, which I don't know if you watched, the only other person I have on what went wrong is Margot. I don't know if you watched that performance that he had in this game. Went over, that'll happen, whatever. I'm not even too like stressed about that. There was a ball hit to right field that he absolutely should have had. I don't think that's like a hot take. And it led to a triple because he was nowhere close to it and just looked very, very slow on that play. And I think that's probably why they're not going to put him in center field anytime soon, which makes the signing of him even more confusing. I think Margot is a candidate to leave as well if they don't want Keith to get sent down to the minor leagues. And if they do want Ryan Kreidler to stay in center field, I think there is a real possibility where Margot is the odd man out already, a week and a half into his Tigers tenure here. And they did the split contract thing. They can, if they can figure out a way to get him back down to Toledo, then he has a different salary and whatnot. Like, they prepared for this, but I think that might be my clubhouse leader at the moment. But I really have a hard time believing that it's Malloy right now. He's looked really, really good. And there's just other players that I think make more sense to send down. Not saying it's guaranteed, Keith. This will be a conversation we have a lot this week as the return of Gleyber Torres kind of looms, but it's a tough decision, and I don't want to see Malloy go. We can talk until we're blue in the face about who is going to be the odd man out. I personally do not want it to be Malloy. Let's talk about stuff. This umpire was a prankster. All right. What an absolute jokester this guy was. Yeah, I don't really have too much to say. It was like amusing to me. Like, some people got really pissed off about it and were mad. I was genuinely like having the time of my life. It's cold for umpires too. I've umpired at much lower levels than the pressure of umpiring a Major League Baseball game. It's a hard job. I don't like ragging on umpires or using them as an excuse for wins and losses. But I'll tell you what, I am locked in to MLB umpire scorecards tomorrow. I am ready to see what that is going to look like, because I think it's gonna be an all-timer. That's all I'll say. Shout out JMO, man. Jameson Williams of the Lions sitting right behind home plate in those nice new heated seats that they have for the Diamond Club or whatever the heck it's called. Really cool to see, like, people just running up, taking, selfies with him. He looked like he was having a great time and watched a few innings of the ball game, which I thought was really cool. So I just love this city. Want to bring up an AJ Hinch masterclass moment. They talked about it a little bit on the broadcast, but I really want to drive home how great it was. I know Andy Dirks, who I think has done a great job, by the way, talked about it a little bit during the game, but there was a moment where the Tigers pinch hit Trey Sweeney for Andy Ibanez, and then the Yankees put in a lefty. And you're thinking, why would you do that? Because you have Andy Ibanez up if you want that. And it didn't work out, and it ended up resulting in no extra runs. But I loved the move, and I thought it was genius by Hinch, because you then get a lefty on the mound for Spencer Torkelson. You guarantee a lefty for Torque. And I think that in that moment is more valuable than a righty against Ibanez or a lefty against Sweeney, both of which are the weaker platoon for those players. I think that was a really, really savvy move, and I really appreciate AJ for a plethora of reasons. But I thought that I just didn't want that to go overlooked. Other news, national news from the Tigers, Sam Menzin steps down, is fired. I'm not sure what the exact terminology is. He's no longer a part of the front office for being an idiot. Goodbye. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. The organization will be fine without him. They have a lot of brilliant minds in the front office. And if you want more information about that, I will point you in the direction of a Cody Stavenhagen article on The Athletic that I think covered everything really well. Just misconduct with women, some allegations against him that are not good if they are true. Will not miss him as a part of the organization. And the Tigers will be fine without Sam Menzin, I promise. Looking ahead, okay, as we're going to end the show how I started it. You have to win this series, okay? You are up 1-0. Game 2 is Carlos Carrasco against Tarek Skubal. You have, and you're at home, you have the upper hand there. And even if we do at this time tomorrow talk about how the Tigers blew this game and they weren't able to take advantage of it and they lost, you still then have Flaherty versus Fried. Now, Max Fried is phenomenal, got a big bag this summer. I'm not saying you have the pitching advantage there, but you still have Jack Flaherty on the mound for game 3. I really don't think there's any reason you shouldn't be walking away. This was the key game. Game 1 was the key. You should be walking away from this series with a series victory over the New York Yankees, which is awesome. And if you win game 2, like you should, you might even be favored in that game. Then you start talking about back-to-back series sweeps. But we're not getting ahead of ourselves, okay? Not getting ahead of ourselves. Just split one of the next 2, and I'm a happy camper. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We, of course, will be back tomorrow recapping game 2 against the Bronx Bombers. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I'll catch y'all then, baby. Go Tigers.